Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC in Christ Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television two different ways. Channel 182 on Charter Communications, which is in North Alabama. You can also find us on Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. And I didn't let Dave know this, but Dave, you're actually in Australia as well. So that was just connected
Wow.
as well. So we're going to be talking with folks all over the country. And I'll have to tell you, one of my focuses is to have folks come to the state of Alabama and begin their businesses. If you're looking for an extension or expansion, you won't put your headquarters somewhere else, come to Alabama. Because I'm just a number of different reasons you want to do that. First of all, the low cost of living, taxes are much lower. And Dave can tell you about this. Dave Hyatt's with me. And Dave, we got the best workers here too, because they got
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're trying to fill a lot of the voids that we have in the workforce. I know the governor from all over the state of Alabama, manufacturing is booming here.
Oh, it's huge.
And I think last Friday was manufacturing day, and we've got a lot of things going on here coming up where we're going to be having some folks on campus to try to build some more relationships, not just here in Jackson and DeKalb counties, but all over the state to try to employ some of our students.
Absolutely. So businesses, make sure you listen to this segment, okay? Northeast Alabama Community College. I'm such a cheerleader in several reasons. One reason is the outreach you guys have into the community, which is awesome. And I love you. I mean, it's in your heart to help students to get their degrees or to get their certificates. So let's talk about what you do there, Dave.
Well, my program is a 76-hour associate in applied science degree. We also offer a certificate and a short-term certificate. Hopefully, students will matriculate through the program and collect those credentials as they're working toward their associate in science. But we're seeing more and more of our students being offered employment prior to graduation, which is it's a good thing and a bad thing. But we're trying our best to mold people for the workforce that's out there.
Absolutely, and the jobs are there. And
yes.
I have to tell you something. Have you ever watched a show called This Old House? It's on PB. I love that show. We never miss a segment. And I love it because they're rooting for the young folks to get these really good jobs, high-paying jobs with a degree or a certificate, either way.
Well, we're seeing a lot. You have students that have this, I guess, from when my parents were growing up, the successful folks tended to see them lean toward a four-year education.
Yeah.
And more we're seeing where two-year associate degrees are outperforming the investment that's been made on four-year. And not that a four-year degree is bad by no means,
Sure.
But as far as the return on the investment, two-year technical degree it's strong to argue those points and those benchmarks that you see when students graduate, and they're getting not only pre-graduation or graduation employment, but the earning potential there is extremely high. The industry is pushing multi-skilled laborers, and whether you're working in what we previously referred to as industrial maintenance or machine tool or welding or electrical, there's so many different skills there that our workforce is needing multi-skilled areas. There's a prominent manufacturer that the term megatronics is used quite often for these multi-skilled laborers, but being able to customize the type of worker that you're looking for is kind of unique to what we provide. And with my program being engineering tech, just general engineering technologies, it doesn't have a primary focus. We touch on mechanical and electrical, but it's difficult to share with students when they ask you, well, what will I be doing when I finish?
Mm-hmm.
It's like looking into a crystal ball, because they may be working in a manufacturing facility in safety or in quality, or on the other side of the coin, they may be working for the DOT testing concrete on a construction project. So we try to make sure that we provide them with the skills that they need, and it's something I know for me personally. That's one of the reasons why I'm in education, because making that connection with those students and seeing them be successful, that's what you don't see that on the paycheck.
No,
It's very fulfilling.
it is. And I just wanted to add a couple of things to that too, because these jobs are very, now my dad was in the technical world. And I'll have to tell you, I mean, we never went hungry. I mean, he always had a job. And I'll tell you the thing about him is when you go to work every day, you work hard, you do the things that are not necessarily on the job description. We were raised, pick up a broom and sweep. It doesn't, if you're the doctor, if you go and you decide you want to be a medical doctor, you're just sitting around, get a broom and sweep. I mean, just little things that show that you really care about your business that you're working for. And employers really look at that. And that's how folks get, that's how they get moved up in companies. I used to work for GTE, and I was a commercial account executive. I went into, it's just a fancy name for a salesperson. And so I would go into corporations, businesses, and government accounts were my accounts. And so I would walk in, this is back in the day, this is when nobody had cell phones, okay? And so I would walk into, this is in the 90s, late 80s and 90s. I would walk into a manufacturing company, see this big banner would say 5 days without an injury on the job. And that scared me to death. I'd be afraid to go in there. And I would look at whoever had invited me to come by, and I would say, do I need a hard hat on? Because I just saw your banner right here. Those days are gone. There are manufacturing companies that are as clean as a hospital now.
Sure. Yeah, I can tell you, we toured a facility this past week, and just walking around in the facility, the type of lighting that they use, the lean manufacturing principles that they utilize with 5S, and there's a lot of applications that they're using in everyday manufacturing that lends itself to not only a cleaner environment, but a safer environment for the employer and employee. And it's a win-win for the company and the employee all the way around.
Oh, it is. And the jobs they're not those really, I mean, it's not like you're chopping rocks or something with it. I mean, these are like really, really good jobs. And technology has really helped make that happen. And all the training you do there at Northeast Alabama Community College, I mean, you've really helped folks, to have a higher wage.
I tell students, we have to keep the main thing about the main thing. And in industry, that is extremely important. And we often, or I can tell you with myself, sometimes I struggle with technology. When technology works, it's great, and when it doesn't, then you probably need a technician or someone to troubleshoot that. And so I in practical applications, we try to throw students curveballs, and so that they have to think a little outside the box. And as far as being able to problem solve, I've said quite often to students, if you need to be a problem solver, you got to find a way to be able to solve problems, because engineering and technical work like that, that a lot of what we do is solving problems. If you have to go ask somebody to solve the problem for you, then they probably don't need you.
That is true.
So when you the point you were making about the 5 days of no accidents, understanding that companies, they're graded on those types of incidents.
Absolutely.
And companies can only work for certain suppliers and larger companies if they maintain a particular safety rating. So I think sometimes students and employees may not understand it's important to have a safe workplace. It's important to operate systems and processes safely, but it's also very important from a financial standpoint to make sure that they're maintaining a particular level of safety. It's like you said, those days are going by the wayside. There are people that their sole job is to make sure that there's no hazards or nothing that they go through with a checklist and check everything off to make sure everyone's following the correct PPE applications and are doing what they're supposed to do. The tour that we went on last Friday, that was the first thing they did. They give us a safety vest and ear protection and eye protection before we ever even walked out of the parking lot. So
that's pretty cool. Well, these are not your great grandfather's jobs anymore. I mean, they're so different, but I got something to tell you, Dave. Now, Dave, I'm a lot older than you. So I remember when computers first came out. Okay.
I can remember. I'm a lot older than what you would think.
You're a young kid compared to me. But this is so funny. So I remember when the computers came out, people were first getting cell phones, they were first getting laptops and all those things. I remember people saying, "Oh, Donna, you're in the wrong business. Computers are going to take over the world. You're going to be part of that." I got news for you. Computers are never going to take over the world. There has to be somebody. And this is another thing I heard. Oh, Donna, those jobs are going to take jobs away from people. They've actually created more jobs because you got to have somebody who's going to fix the laptop that I tear up. You got to have somebody who's going to be instructional and tell you how to do these things in a more efficient area. And I mean, I'm all for it. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm the first one to jump up on the bandwagon for technology.
Well, the first degree that I held was an associate in applied science. And I went to the instructor and I actually wanted to get a drafting table. I said, look, where can I get me one of these drafting tables? And he said, do not do that. He said, you need to go and buy you a computer. This was in 88, 80. Well, no, this is in 90. It was in 90. And he was right. We oftentimes see drafting tables where people are rolling out plans to look at things. But outside of that, the days of sitting at a board drawing, we need technical skills to be able to sketch things. But everything's done on the computer now, as far as from a design standpoint. And it doesn't matter. It bridges architectural and engineering design bridges that, and CAD for the most part. A lot of our programs tend to we have a lot of crossover in the instruction. So like my engineering technicians, they take introduction to CAD and modeling and advanced modeling. So they have a CAD sequence they go through, just like what the drafting and design would. But they also have more of the engineering type of material processes and strengths of materials, statics, dynamics, those types of classes also.
Well, Dave, you'd be real proud of me. My husband, a couple of years ago, decided, he said, we're going to build the deck. Because, I mean, we were going through this thing, the pandemic had hit, you couldn't find anybody to do, the good people were all taken up. And it was going to be like 2 years before we could get somebody out here to build a deck. So my husband said, I've got the plans. We're going to do it. And I said, I said, I can see you doing it that night. You know something? I'm able to use the saws. I'm able to use it. So these are jobs that women can do now. I'm the
Oh,
first one to
absolutely.
say I actually enjoyed building the deck. And it's a night, I promise you, there's no better built deck around. My husband put so many of those screws in that, it's just unreal. If a tornado comes through, the deck's going to hold the house down. I mean, it just
I
put
got
together
you.
good. But I had fun using the saws. So he had all these different saws out there, and he said, "Well, we'll just go ahead and buy some saws. That's the money we're going to save doing it ourselves." So we found all these things, and I'm able to use the saws doing other things, smaller things at the house. You can build picture frames, whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome. You kind of alluded to the fact of uh, females working in certain roles, and I can tell you, I don't know what the percentage is that I have female to male ratios in my classes, but I would say it's pretty close, half and half right now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know. Like I said, I can't say for certain, but I would say it's pretty close.
It is, and I've been to some of the things that happened at the high schools, at the tech schools, and there are girls in there that are just like tearing it up. I mean, and they're good paying jobs.
Yes. Well, I teach a precision measurement and print reading, industrial print reading class.
Mm-hmm.
And in that class, it's a multidiscipline class. So I have welding students, drafting students, and ENT students. And uh, I had a couple of students that were sitting in the front, and I was asking them about their majors, and both of them were welding majors. And it just so happened that they were female. And I don't, I guess we get conditioned to, we think, welding helmet, and that might not necessarily be a job that a woman might necessarily be looking for, but they're not only looking for those jobs, but they're excelling in those jobs,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of uh, male, female, what have you.
Well, I'm going to tell you, there's a lady I know with friends. Her name is Sherry, and she's in the Oxford area. And so her name is Sherry Cagle, and her dad owned this company, and it's a welding company. And the sons were not interested, but Sherry was, and she wanted the business. And she tears it up.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, she's got it going on. And so the neat thing about these jobs, and Sherry said, and I interviewed her once, and I said, and this is when it first came out that women were taking these jobs, they're enjoying it. And she said, "Well, I'm not like you where I want to walk around with a suit on all the time." Because I had this corporate job going on then.
Right.
And then I said, "Well, what do you like about it?" And she said, "Well, it's pretty cool." She said, "Because basically the machine does it all for me." She said, "It's not as difficult as people think it is." She said, "Maybe back in my dad's day, it was a difficult job." She said, "But it's not." But she has this mind for it, better than the sons. And the
Right.
the dad said, "I'm glad Sherry took over the company. She's much better at it than the boys would have been."
Well, it's funny you meant it, when you said it lends itself to technology and science.
Yeah.
And so often I see that we forget how
Mhm.
important the science behind what we're doing is.
Yeah.
And if students have that understanding, that basic understanding, they're going to be successful. And I can even speak from my experience where I've I may not have thought that a particular area of science that I would utilize it that much, but I can tell you as it's come back around with with teaching here at Northeast, there's areas that I was like, hey, I need to make sure I brush up on that, because that's something that they're going to use.
Mhm.
Uh, Whether it was something as basic as chemistry, or basic material principles that I may not have used as much in my field of engineering study, but seeing that they're going to use it as they develop in whatever they're doing.
Well, it's all in your mind frame. It's how you look at it. I had a very, very wise two grandmothers, very wise, and so they thought every woman should know how to cook. And at that time, I was a teenage girl. I wasn't really interested. So my grandmother said, "You like science, don't you?" And I loved science. I mean, I couldn't wait to get in science class. And she said, "Well, you know, cooking's like science." And I said, "It is." Well, then I became interested. It's all in how you look at it. It's all
Right.
in how you. Then I wanted to cook. I mean, it's like she said, it's measurements. That's what it's
That's
all
right.
about. It's all in the way you look at it. But man, there's so many jobs out there, and the technical jobs, really, because you can start out working for someone and be with them a long time, really prove yourself. Maybe later on, get out and do it on your own and then own your own business. And then after that, you may retire and just be put on a retainer for customers to do training for businesses.
Well, I know there's businesses in our area that look to hire students in a way that they can bring them into a journeyman type of path
Okay.
in their work. And I'm talking about well-paying jobs that can so that they can further develop in whatever industry that they're working in. And it's so diverse. It's tough when you think about it. You have a student come in here and you got 5 semesters that you're dealing with that student, and by the time you take out your area 1 through 4, which is your academic requirements, you only have a certain number of credit hours that you're going to be spending with that student. And because in we build a relationship with students. I was speaking with a young lady earlier, and she's within 4 credits or 4 classes of graduating. And I was like, wow, I can't believe that you're about to graduate.
It's like
Congratulations!
they're
It's
your
like,
kids all over.
right. You become close with them, especially when it's not like you have a student in a class, then you don't see them again. With technical education, you see that student time and time again.
Uh-huh.
So you definitely build a relationship.
Yeah, they come by and let you see that car they paid cash for because of that job that they got you training.
That's right. Or the kid or the vacation or the
Uh-huh.
house. Yes, you definitely see that.
Well, Northeast has been around such a long time. It's changed a lot since 1977 when I graduated out of high school. A lot. And I thought it was great then. But with the addition, you guys just keep building buildings. You're going to have your own little city over there if you're not careful.
Well, I know that we've got a new manufacturing facility that's going to be coming to campus. I don't know what the date is for the groundbreaking yet on that. It should be soon. I know that they've got everything approved. I already have the design on the building, and I'm actually going to be the engineering technologies program that I'm involved with. Will be staying in the math, science, and engineering building.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the front of campus, but I know drafting. I think construction science and our machining, I think will all be located in the new manufacturing building.
Mm-hmm. That is so cool. All the things you guys do. Now, you guys also talk, I mean, it's beyond, how to do engineering, how to do drafting, how to do all these things. You actually talk to folks about being a team player in a business and working well with other employees and your boss too.
Well, it's part of like just like you said, it's part of business, and employers are going to expect that. When I talk with students in our project management, we actually take a personality test and we talk about working in teams and understanding other people's personalities
Right.
and being able to not only do your job, but be able to understand why different types of people do things different ways. And when you're building a team, you have to look at people's skill sets and being able to making those assessments and understanding the why. I push that in all my classes, but uh, it's really eye-opening to have a little bit broader understanding of not only the subject matter, but why things are that way and why people in the industry are going to require you to perform a certain way. And the employers that are out there are working to build a stronger workforce in every area. And you see it time and time again when they're talking about soft skills. They want somebody that's going to show up on time, stay the entire time, and can pass a drug test, and there's certain basic things that they need out of an employee that somewhere along the way, I don't know, it just seems like that those things seem like things that everyone should be doing and everyone should be practicing on a professional level, but we still reinforce that and instill that in our students to make sure that there's a particular benchmark. I'm a big football fan. I love the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's one of the things that he says, the standard is the standard. And at Northeast, we have a particular standard, and we expect our students to meet that standard.
Well, it's pretty obvious because you have businesses in this area who look to you guys for potential employees. Absolutely.
And it's a fine line that you have to walk, because I'm glad to say that everyone that's graduating out of our program is going to work, but in industry they're pulling as fast as they can graduate. And I mean that's great for the students, but it creates this vacuum where we're trying to fill the void.
Absolutely.
And although there is a shortage in the workforce, that goes back to the statement that I made. The standard is still the standard. We're going to we've got to meet that.
Well, you guys are way up there as far as your training, technology, and that kind of thing, but you also still believe in the old-fashioned way to make it work. And that's, again, being there on time, and doing what's not necessarily in that job detail, pick up a broom and get busy.
That's right. Doing what needs to be done. Seeing beyond someone having to give you instruction. There's times when I have actually I give an assignment, and what they need to do is there, but I may not tell them A, B, C, D. I had a guy, a really smart guy that was a supervisor over me at one time, and he said, you need to be able to show someone where to start and where you want them to finish, and then you have to kind of get out of the way and allow them to
let them do it.
That's
absolutely
right.
Dave, less than a minute left in this segment. What do you need to tell folks? How can they get in contact with you? How can they find out more about Northeast Alabama Community College?
Well, they can go to our website at nacc.edu, or they can give me a call direct. Is it okay for me to give my cell phone number?
Sure.
Okay. You can call me direct at 256-312-9596. And although I know the college likes for folks to fill out a meeting, we use Advisor Track, but I would love for people to come see me. If you have a question, you're welcome to come. I'm located in the Math and Science building, and I'm in room 221 on second floor.
Dave, thank you so much for being on the show. If we never have enough time, you're going to have to come and
No, it flies right on by.
Absolutely. You take care. Look forward to seeing you next time.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, folks, y'all take care. I'll be back in a few minutes with another awesome guest like this one.